Hello and welcome to 21st Century. I'm Daljit Dhaliwal. The world is becoming desperately short of fresh water, threatening our very survival. In South Africa, the country's water supply is at risk as the nation's energy needs grow. So can this be turned around before it's too late? Here's our story. Lucas Maseko used to dream of owning his own farm. And when the apartheid regime in South Africa fell in 1994, his dream finally came true.
When we first came here, the farm was working really well. You could plant anything and it would grow.
After years of working as an employee of a white farmer, in 2002, Lucas took over the farm as the proud landowner, part of the government's land reform program to redress the wrongs of apartheid. At first, things went well for Lucas.
I used to pack up my truck with pumpkins and go to the highway to sell them. The drivers would stop and buy them.
Living in what's known as the breadbasket of the country, in the fertile northeast, Lucas also had a thriving herd of cows and his own ample supply of fresh water right on his farm. But in 2008, his trouble started. The abandoned coal mine adjoining his farm, having previously shut down, restarted operations, shattering not only his tranquility, but Lucas's dream. As the mines blast to access the coal seams, dense clouds of choking dust smother everything in their path. Like this blast caught by an amateur filming close by.
The
noise is very loud and the house is cracked. The whole house shakes.
Lucas's wife Dina explains how the blasting for coal next door drove the family from their home, fearing it would collapse on top of them. They now live in a small barn alongside. As well as having his home crumble around them, Lucas in the last 4 years has also lost half his cows. He believes they died from eating grass coated in coal dust and from drinking polluted groundwater. His crops, a vital food source and income for his family, are also failing, as is the quality of his water supply.
Now hardly anything comes out, and what does is really dirty.
We're heading for a catastrophe in the future.
Terence McCarthy, professor of geology at Wits University in Johannesburg, says that the water affected by coal mining is more than just dirty. Its toxicity is a grave threat to the health and livelihoods of not just Lucas, but to millions of South Africans, he says. And the entire country's future water supply is now in jeopardy. The repercussions on South Africa's food security are enormous.
The areas that where most of the coal mining is taking place are our primary food producing regions, and we are impacting on those.
And he fears it's an impact that will be felt for centuries to come. Its lethal legacy is a result of both coal use and the coal mining activity itself, he says. Not only does the burning of coal for electricity production generate gases which contribute to global warming, South Africa's greenhouse gas emissions are double the global average. The coal mining process here, which is largely open cast, can leave water supplies unusable for irrigation, for industry, and for consumption by animals and humans. As rainwater seeps through to the rocks exposed by coal mining below ground, a chemical process takes place which contaminates and acidifies the water. The result is acid water, which seeps into the rivers.
So we are destroying the ecology of our river system, and there's nothing we can do about it, except stop mining.
But many argue that South Africa's mining sector is essential. Development is booming and coal is a critical source of both export income and employment. 90% of the country's electricity supply comes from the burning of coal. The extent of the country's reliance on coal is clear to see. In the province of Mpumalanga, where Lucas lives, the landscape is scarred with huge coal-fired power stations and vast open-cast mines. The surface of the countryside literally having been scraped away. And this environmental and social destruction is exactly what is feared in the neighbouring province of KwaZulu-Natal. This high plateau is an area of pristine natural beauty. Its rich biodiversity of wildlife and plants making it unique in the country. It's also an important farming area with the nation's highest level of rainfall and is the source of many of South Africa's rivers, supplying water to tens of millions of people.
This is the water production area for most of the country.
Angus Burns of World Wildlife Fund and coordinator of a project to protect the grasslands says this area of pristine natural beauty is now also at risk. Underneath these green meadows lies huge deposits of coal, still largely untouched by mining. But if mining companies have their way and are granted licenses to open new mines here, this Garden of Eden will be destroyed, perhaps forever.
We're looking at essentially a land grab through the mining industry. What's going to happen if a multitude of mines open? It will completely obliterate the water supply in this area. The impact on communities will be devastating. There's no ways that damage that will be caused to what we term the ecological infrastructure of the area can ever be truly mitigated.
But mitigation efforts are underway in South Africa to clean up the impact of coal mining. Imalahleni water reclamation plant is run by Anglo-American Mines to counteract the environmental pollution from their mines. Now 30 million litres of contaminated water from 3 of their operations are treated per day and turned into drinking water for the local community. Peter Gunther designed this system, the first of its kind in the world.
Quite simply, any water is treatable. It's never too late. There's always something you can do about the situation.
Only about 10% of water affected by mining is currently being treated. But Peter predicts that a lot more will be in the future, as this model is adopted by other mining operations.
I do believe this is a sustainable model going forward into the future that people can replicate.
And the United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon believes the same, hailing this effort as one of 7 global projects which successfully combat the negative impacts of climate change. But even as experts recognise this is a step in the right direction, Professor McCarthy doubts the long-term viability of such operations because of the cost.
Who pays? You know, by the time these things come to light, the mining companies that mined the coal are long disappeared. To really overcome the problem in perpetuity, you've got to neutralize the entire reservoir of acid that exists underground there, which might be huge.
As for Lucas and his wife, the pollution is so bad they feel they have no option but to leave and start the farm somewhere else.
The mine must pay me. I can't stay here.
I don't know what to do. My heart aches. The mine is treating us so badly.
Lucas is now seeking legal help for his case. While he and Dina wait for an answer from the mine, many scientists and activists are calling for a complete halt to mining until an effective and economically viable solution to the contamination can be found. Others call for a block on mining in all areas where rivers start. They believe that protecting the world's water resources is not a choice, it's an imperative for people everywhere.
The one thing they cannot survive without is water. You remove that from the equation and they are doomed.